Welcome to Collide, your Center for Research and Innovation podcast.
A podcast to ignite ideas, creativity, and innovation through dialogue and knowledge sharing. All right, so welcome to the first episode of Collide. So I'm here sitting with Todd Hennessy, our director, and it's a beautiful sunny day in Corner Brook. And what a great opportunity to talk about why we are calling this podcast Collide.
What a great day to sit inside and have a podcast.
Yes, it is. It's sunny out and it is inspiring.
Yeah.
And we're also sitting here with Mauricio, who is our tech support and podcast person at CRI.
And who doesn't have a microphone. You should have a microphone.
So, Todd, I'm sure there was a little bit of brainstorming that happened
this morning. It happened this morning, Mary.
Yes. So, what is in the word collide that you can help us unpack?
So, you'll remember this. The genesis of the CRI happened over a couple of years. We talked a lot about what we wanted this place to be, and the word collision kept coming up. And I remember distinctly, it's funny how you remember things, hey? Kelly Vodden, who's a faculty member at Grenfell and really deep into this sort of stuff. We were talking about we were working on the original proposal, I guess, and we were talking about trying to figure out, a bit of a mission statement, values, what we wanted this place to be, and I think it was Kelly who talked a lot about the notion of collision, that this should be a space where people can meet, not in friction in a good way, where people can sort of, ideas could rub together and something else could happen, and, interdisciplinarity, and just the idea that we could get a group of really very kind of disparate people, and out of that would come something really incredible. And the ideas that would sort of spin out from people, in different disciplines, different walks of life, whatever that looks like. Just getting together, sharing space, talking, communing, and the ideas kind of colliding to create new ideas, in a very, that sort of kind of way. And as we, have been talking about wanting to do a podcast and wanting to sort of let the, community in a little bit on what we're doing down here, it just struck us as being a nice idea for a name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's in that, when we think of collisions and we think of space, our as in not like outer space, but space as in our building here, this idea of collisions, and how do you see that happening physically here in this location?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. I think, that's a great question. So when we, again, and you know this, Mary, I know you know this all the pieces. When we first started thinking about the building, I think it looked a little bit different in terms of constituency and who would be here and the kinds of things that would happen here. It all kind of evolved over time. But I think right from the beginning, we had an idea that it had to be interdisciplinary. And that's a funny word. That's a funny word at the university. I don't mean to, I wonder who's going to hear this. I don't mean to be too critical about it. But I do think the university throws that word around and doesn't really sometimes doesn't really think about what it really kind of means.
Yes.
And I think pushing an interdisciplinary agenda at the university is surprisingly difficult when it should be really easy.
Yes.
But we both know it's not easy.
Right.
And there is something still, I think, to be said about universities in general. I don't just mean Mana. I don't mean to be critical, but universities are very siloed. And as much as we acknowledge and talk about it and say all the time, we got to bring these silos down, boy, they still stand pretty tall and proud. Yeah. And trying to move through those barriers can be difficult.
Right.
I'm not really answering your question, I just realized. So when we talked about this place, we really wanted it to be a facility, a place where we would invite in all kinds of different thinkers and people who work in different ways and think in different ways, and we hoped that just being in the space together would lead to that kind of interaction, that kind of interactivity, and ultimately to an interdisciplinarity that led to all kinds of cool stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you think of, trends in, I guess, work styles and workplaces, there is this idea of, the hub setup. And I know that there are I guess, locations and workplaces that think that, or kind of embody this idea that when you get people in the room, and these are people with ideas, just the fact that they're next to each other, that they're talking to each other, ideas ignite and ideas come to fruition, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, there are workplaces and setups that focus on let's give people space so that they can think individually and be productive, right? So it's a nice blend, I guess, of like finding that, sweet spot of coming together, yet having space and an opportunity to focus and do your work. How do you see, I guess, those styles or those trends played out in our CRI, our space?
Yeah, another great question. So I'm a theater director by trade, I suppose, by training. That's what I mostly do. And the thing about, for me anyway, I know we're all artists around this table. The thing about working in the theater is that, especially at this kind of level, there are incredible constraints on what you can do. Those constraints might be time, there might be money, there might be some other resources, but you're constrained. And some folks that I've met over the years get, kind of are upset by that, or that's too bad, they look about it negatively or whatever. And I think I kind of welcome the constraints because that actually tells you what you can do, or encourages you to think creatively around obstacles, right? If you can't do this thing you want to do, well, what does it look like? What are you really trying to get at? And how else can we do that creatively with the resources that we have? And let's be, ingenious about how we use our resources. So the point I'm getting to, I guess, and again, I don't mean to be critical. This is all great, but when we renovated the building, there were constraints put on the space. We were told, even though the original plans for this building included office space and a place for grad students and researchers, and there were walls. And the landlord said, nope, no walls. We want it to be open space. And we also all know that the great sort of open office experiment is a bit of a failure. Yes. We all know there's a reason why, Google and other companies tried it and went, oh, yeah, actually, folks can't work like this. We need offices. We couldn't do that.
Right.
So what do you do? How do you factor in that constraint and allow people to be able to work the way they want to work and do the kind of sharing that we're talking about? So I don't know how successful we've been. I guess time will tell. But I guess what I wanted to do, in the sense that I had some sway over these decisions, was to provide as much of a variety of space as possible. And that if people want to be together and hang out and do this kind of idea sharing, absolutely.
Yes.
If folks want some private space and be able to go off and have a phone call or just be able to tuck away somewhere, then let's offer that space as well. You can't have it all the time, but when you need it, it's there for you.
Yes.
We're sitting in a boardroom having this conversation because I felt it was important that we have this kind of space for people to be able to meet when they want to meet away from, the maddening crowd, if you like.
Yes.
But the heart and soul of the place is open, and people come and they work and they share space. I understand that's not for everybody. I understand that some people relish that. Some people, and frankly, I'm one of those people. I need to be alone sometimes. I can't be around people all the time.
Right.
But the idea, I think, was to have as much variety in space as we possibly could, as we possibly could. I mean, it's a small building. There's only so much we can get away with. But at the end of the day, I wanted, Mery Perez to be able to say, cool, I can go work in the co-working space for a morning. I can stick my headphones on. I can do some stuff, whatever. But if I want to have a meeting, I can jump into one of the privacy pods, or I can come in here, or use a breakout room. So we just want to be able to give people the access to the kind of spaces that might be conducive to whatever it is they want to do at any given time. So that's kind of, how we've wound up in the particular physical space that we have. Okay,
awesome. And I know that collision also happens in our events.
Yeah.
So the DIY night is the first thing that comes to mind. There's also the robotics club. But so when you think of DIY nights and you think of the people that come to that and, those collisions that happen, I guess, how do you see that played out in that
DIY
context?
night is probably the perfect example of the things that we're talking about. And just for the sake of listeners, the DIY Society is a group external to the university. It was established by a group of people who want to do exactly what the sorts of things we're talking about, and they're looking for space, and they come every Tuesday night. It's a partnership, I guess, with that group, and this is what happens. People come in. Now, in that instance, it's sort of technically aligned. People come and work on projects but the idea is whatever you want to work on, whether it's a programming thing or an electronics thing or a bookmaking thing, you come, you hang it in the makerspace, you do your stuff. And folks wander around going, hey, that looks cool, what are you doing? And we share ideas.
Yes.
And that's just been an astonishing example of what can happen when you get a group of people who are, we've got folks doing, kind of cosplay stuff and painting little miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons, or they're working on electronics projects for a radio they're building, or whatever. It's the scope of it.
Yes.
Crochet.
Yeah.
The scope of it is incredible, and there's a group of people who talk to one another about the things they're interested in, and that knowledge sharing and that sort of idea generation is kind of exactly what we hope would happen here. So I love the DIY nights. For a bunch of reasons, but that in particular. And then there's the textile night, which was set up by one faculty member from Grenfell and somebody used to be on staff here, and they similarly sit downstairs. It is, again, in the way that DIY night is kind of technically aligned. This is more about textiles and fabrics, but again, a wide range of interest in people working on various projects who sit downstairs, work on their projects, and talk to one another.
Right.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yes. And Todd, so I get the privilege of talking to you almost every day. And there's a story that you've shared fairly recently. And that story of, people coming together, and was it the Right to Fix event?
Oh, yeah. That was extraordinary. Yeah.
And, I could think of Collision when you shared some of that. And when you talked about the family that brought that appliance do you mind sharing that story?
No, I really don't know. It was a great night. I want to give full credit to Samantha Young, whom maybe we'll never hear this, but I really kind of hope she does. Samantha at the time was working for the city of Corner Brook and approached us again to do a collaboration, to do a project together, and that was around the Right to Repair movement. And again, listeners would know this, but there is a we all know what it's like to not be able to get things repaired these days. I've got a fairly expensive cell phone in my hand that will wear out, and I'll have to get rid of it someday because you can no longer really get phones repaired. John Deere tractors famously have chips in them now, and if John Deere decides to shut down your tractor, then you're out of luck because you can't get it fixed. I get so upset thinking about inkjet printers. I can only use ink in my printer that has a chip in it from Hewlett Packard, otherwise it will not work.
Right.
We're just so constrained in so many ways by all this lovely, wonderful technology. Anyway, the Right to Repair movement puts a focus on that, wants to make consumers aware of how limited our choices are, and all this stuff that we can only dispose of because it can no longer be repaired. So Samantha came and said, hey, could we have an event here? We'll do a repair night, and we'll invite folks to come and kind of do stations. So we had, 8 or 9 individuals here running stations of various sorts. We had 3 people here working on textiles with sewing machines, and they were fixing clothing, which was amazing. We had Pierre Grieg from the DIY Society was here working on electronics things, and other folks working on Stu Rockwood was here working on he had a knife sharpening setup, so he was helping people sharpen their kitchen knives. Really, 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 really cool. So the night was fabulous. And the thing about these Right to Repair nights is that you sort of prove to people that the things they want repaired can't be repaired as a way of sort of informing people of the world we live in. And typically, I've read anyway, when it comes to these kinds of repair nights, usually around 40% of the things people bring in can actually be repaired. That's the world we live in, right? I want to say we had close to 100% success rate in repairing things. It was astonishing. And we had one person came in who had a little portable fireplace. Had owned it for years, and it wasn't working. And basically, it wasn't worth it to local repair shops to bring in the parts and fix this thing. They really treated this being disposable. It was really important to this person, and they wanted it repaired, and we repaired it. It was incredible, right?
Amazing.
But what you're talking about, and this was so profound, we had at least 2 immigrant families came. One family in particular came with a, you know those coffee grinders that people often use for spices? You know, the little cap you push down? You know, this was obviously central to this family's cooking, to their kitchen, right? And it had broken, and they couldn't afford to replace it, and it was just really important, to their food prep. And so they brought him with this little thing, and little coffee grinder, and approached somebody about it. And Mary, I get emotional thinking about it. I want to say that 4 people came over and said, "Oh yeah, we'll fix this thing. We'll get it going for you, right?" And they spent the evening repairing this spice grinder and got it working. They repaired it, and the family was over the moon because it was just so important, and walked away with this thing functioning, right? And I just sat there watching this group of people so committed to helping repair this thing, and I was really moved because there was no questions. It was just, "Yep, we will do this thing."
Yes.
And the second thing that happened was a family came in with a toy. It was some kind of 4-wheel drive remote control vehicle, big tires, and you know, and it wasn't working. And the child who owned this toy was upset. Again, they didn't have a lot of toys. This is sort of it, and this thing had malfunctioned. And there's a guy here who does a lot of electronics work. Stripped this thing down, repaired it, and got it working. And again, the family was over the moon. And I remember the person who repaired it said, "Well, it wasn't difficult. It was just this thing, blah, blah, blah." So but the point is, they were lost without this thing. You gave them this joy back in their lives.
Exactly.
And they walked away so happy, right? And that was the community. That was the community who said, "We are going to support other members of our community, and we're gonna help each other out."
Right.
It was astonishing.
Yes. And when you think of again that thought of repairing and discarding, so much of our lives have become disposable, right? And so much of the meaning of things has more to do with what they're good for. It has to do with the histories and our lives around that thing, like whether it's a decoration, a central piece to a kitchen, maybe there are memories connected to that artifact, to that thing that you could probably replace, but it has that history. And I think you add the value of having put the effort and having brought people together to fix something. That's a great example of how that ignition of collisions and good things that can come about. And not to sound, I guess, what's the word, too unrealistic or positive in a way, but we find challenges in life. We find challenges as a society and as a community, and whether it's employment, whether it's workforce, whether it's how to reinvent ourselves as people living on the west coast of Newfoundland or wherever you are, and coming together, creating those collisions are opportunities to think of what are the problems we're facing, whether it's a thing we can fix or our entire context. And I know that solutions don't come easily, and it is easier to fix a toy sometimes than our context. But I think that we're hoping here at the CRI that we can generate those opportunities for finding new paths. Right.
Yep. I mean, I maybe overly romantically keep coming back to a notion of community and people, working together to figure some of the stuff out. And you're right; it can be really local and it can be, important, but local, or it can be, much more, broader in scope and larger sort of issues. But none of this gets tackled or solved. Right. I don't think. Really, unless people are prepared to come together, think about the solutions and what do we do to help each other out.
Right,
and
right.
What's happened here more often than not is that notion of, I'm going to freely give my time to help somebody solve a problem.
Right. Yes.
Look at the window, look at the greenhouse across the parking lot, and that's how that happened.
Yes.
I think about the things that are happening in this building, and that's how that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, semi-related, Mary, is the idea, and I think you and I are fighting hard for this, that this building remains accessible and that these kinds of things we're talking about can continue to happen.
Yes.
And again, sometimes it's not easy. We face the challenges that everybody faces, but fundamentally, we want this place to be a place where people can come in, access the tools we have or the knowledge that we have, spend time, share it, think of new stuff. I'm not necessarily, again, I'm a theater artist by, mostly. I'm not really, I'm not always driven by commercial interest, but I understand that's important.
Yes.
But really it's about trying to figure out how can we sort of solve some of these problems.
Yes. Yeah. And I think a great opportunity for people to come in and, think through their ideas out loud, perhaps, is, navigate the incubator here, having a staff person, a manager for the incubator who is available and will visit us at the podcast, and we'll do a session with them to have them share a little bit more about what they have to offer. But I do know that they are a great resource for people who are thinking of their own, starting their own business, generating income, and finding ways to bring those ideas into fruition. So that's available there as well. And we will make sure they are with us one of these days at one of these episodes.
Yep. So now I'm going to ask you
Right.
about the work you're doing here and all the things you're doing to bring people in the door and the opportunities that you're providing people.
So, I am the manager of programming and efforts to share knowledge. Now, the knowledge that I try to coordinate is the knowledge that can help people overcome obstacles, to really enter into comfort zones of using tools and applying knowledge. So I basically look at the equipment that we have, the opportunities that we have, and the obstacles that people like myself could encounter. So, for example, 3D printing, laser cutter, wood and metal shop downstairs. So many people can feel intimidated by, equipment and tools that they've never touched before, but they want to explore. So my job is to find out what is needed in the community, find out what skills people need in order to access those tools. So I reach out to instructors, we create training opportunities, and eventually these opportunities will be bundled together to offer micro-credentials for people to upgrade their skills. So whether it's somebody looking for a new path in their careers, or whether it's somebody who's starting, in their own educational journey. So we hope to offer, open doors for that exploration. So the idea is that because our world is changing so much, skills are changing, and people need to reinvent themselves, and people need opportunities to explore and tools to explore the things that they want to bring to life. So, for example, we have a woodworking workshop coming up, and it is a very specific one in that our instructor is going to teach people how to use more traditional methods of working wood, and they're going to be building a three-legged stool. And again, through the design of making something, you learn the skills that help you get there. And then you can apply those skills to making something else. So that's coming up. We also try to offer opportunities for children every once in a while, not often. but just getting kids and young people comfortable with exploring the arts, exploring those tools that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that this three-legged workshop is happening, because I think, again, we've talked a lot about this, right? The idea that we have all this wonderful new technology,
Right.
but the idea that we can also offer more traditional,
Yes.
training, more traditional tools, I think is really a big part of the knowledge sharing
Yes.
part.
Yes.
And I think it's really important. Yeah. And I'm really tickled that particular workshop is proving
Yes.
so popular. People
Exactly.
really want to come do this, right?
Yes. So as I've mentioned to you, Todd, we opened the workshop on a Monday, registrations, and before I could spread the word too widely, we were already oversubscribed. So, we could accommodate 10 people. We had 20 people register by Wednesday. So we're creating opportunities so that we can accommodate everybody.
All those people, yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. Yeah. And I think about the shed building workshop as well, which was hugely popular.
Yes.
A big commitment. That was over, 4 weekends?
4 to 5 weekends.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a lot of time, big commitment. A group showed up and, raised the roof. I mean,
That's
it was,
right, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, it's one of the wonderful things to see. And, those things that come together in these workshops are people from various walks of life and at various stages. So you may have a couple of people who are recently retired, and they now have an opportunity to explore the love of their lives when it comes to hobbies. And, they can dedicate time to this. And I can think of at least 3 people who kind of fit that category in the shed building workshop. Then you have people who are into, building and engineering, and this was a way to learn how to apply that knowledge into sort of like a different outlet. And then you had, tradespeople who bring their experience, and all of those factors came together to creating that shed and racing that and making it. And it's pretty good because it's still standing after the winter.
It's still standing.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's really been incredible. Yeah.
So, we hope that, first of all, through this podcast, we can generate ideas. We hope to have different people come and talk to us, different people chat informally with us and tell us about their creative dreams and how they see the world and what they're doing for our community and how our community can help them create as well. And we also hope to allow those collisions in person, physically here at the CRI.
Yep. I gotta say, Mery, I'm really, for whatever it's worth, I'm really excited for this, and so glad you're doing it, because I think it is a great way for people to hear each other talk about their ideas. Again, as a way of sharing stuff out with the community and hopefully generating some conversations around things that we're doing and the possibilities that exist here, and maybe folks will come in and try something. Yeah.
Yes. And as we sign off for today, I want to remind people that they can find us on social media for now. So Facebook and Instagram. You can find us just look for Center for Research and Innovation, Corner Brook, and you'll find us on social media. And we will soon have a brand new website. Where you can find links to this podcast, find more information about the Makerspace and about who we are. And we hope to see you around. So thank you again for tuning in, and we are signing off.
Bye. This has been an episode of Collide, your Center for Research and Innovation podcast.
Generating community and creativity through idea collision.